But it's a situation where we're seeing what Trump is looking for is industrialization, more output from the US in order to compete with the East, mainly China, where previously, many years ago, the US kind of dominated that, but we have seen in the past few decades that China has actually been doing better and distributing more from an international perspective. So what I see is the US is looking for investment from an industrial perspective to boost their own productive capacity, and also more imports from what they are producing, like the liquefied gas you spoke about.
Now, what is your view on the political willingness to get a favorable deal in place between South Africa and the USA? It seems it's been dragging on.
Yeah, I think, Melissa, it's not too high, especially from the US side. We are clearly doing our best and showing up in our best form to try and get a trade deal with the US to reduce that 30% tariffs. It's something that we're clearly in fear of, but we're not seeing much reciprocal engagements from the US. Trump seems to still be sticking on what he's been saying before. We haven't heard anything about him reducing the 30%. What we hear mostly is still elements around the genocide. And also something that's lurking in the background is the whole BEE policy that exists in South Africa. So unfortunately, for that reason, I think we still seem to be pushing on our own in this case.
Now, Thina, if we take the 30% tariff as is, nothing changes between now and tomorrow, how can local companies and industries mitigate the cost? Yes, we do know that these costs would have been passed on to the American consumer, but it could lead to extra costs here, maybe job losses. Is there space in South Africa at the moment for local investment, for local trade, and maybe even broadening our trade to the SADC region, more into Africa?
Okay, so South Africa is, especially from an agriculture perspective, is generally very much export orientated. We're satisfying our local demand, but our local demand could never satisfy what we do from an export perspective. So exports is still very, very important for us in South Africa. And this is why this 30% tariffs going to the US is really such a big scare.